Thank you for joining us for Get a Load of This podcast. I am so excited today because we are announcing the launch of something that myself and John and the folks I'm going to introduce here pretty quick, I've been working on for some time. We've been listening to clients, we've been listening to the industry, and I think this is going to be an amazing thing. I think it's going to help shape, mold, and bring safety to the forefront and combine technology and help drivers. So this is your host, Cameron, founder of Get a Load of This podcast, founder and owner of Valley Trucking Insurance. As always, we drive this episode. With me, I've got special co-host Ryan Young. He's a producer with me at Valley Trucking. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing great. How's everybody?
Good, man. Thank you for hopping in. How do you still have snow in Canada?
I mean, there's snow in the mountains, but no, it's just been raining uncontrollably for the last 3 weeks, but today's nice.
Well, which is crazy because our friend John here was just telling me they're going to get a snowstorm of 8 inches in the States. John, what do you think about that?
I am so upset. So upset. It's the end of May. Like, why are we getting snow? I'm tired of Colorado weather being bipolar. It's time to move on. Let's get Mother Nature.
It's messing with John's monthly golf game here. Yes. He's supposed to go out, and instead he's going to go sledding with his friends and not golf. It's a sad day.
I'll probably still go golfing. I'm just going to get some pink balls instead of white.
Wouldn't help me find mine anyway. So they're going to be too deep into the woods no matter what. So with me, we've got John Stanley. Folks have heard from him before. He actually is with Synergy Solutions, but today he's wearing a different hat. We had embarked on a journey to bring technology and some education to the forefront for clients, and we are proud to announce a partnership that we have launched and developed. Him and Cindy are on the episode with us today from Driver Education Network. So John, introduce yourself, and then Cindy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm John Stanley. I've been on this podcast before, like you said. I'm the managing partner for Synergy Solutions, and then we've recently launched a new company that's really in partnership to what we're doing in Synergy Solutions called Driver Education Network. And I'm really going to let Cindy do the bulk of the introduction of Driver Education Network because. And she's going to hate me for saying this, but she is the genius behind Driver Education Network. We would be nothing without Cindy and her expertise in developing education. So I'm super excited to launch this and to introduce a new education platform into the industry that we have not seen before. And there's some huge gaps out there that I think we're going to fill with this program.
I'm excited. Cindy, thanks for coming on. And I know he's genuine in that because every time I've talked to John or when we all met prior to this episode, it was all Cindy. It was just a highlight reel of how awesome she is. Cindy, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your background, what brought you to this juncture in your journey, and a little bit of the passion that you have to help change the trucking industry.
Okay, and thanks. I'm humbled by that introduction, John. Thank you. So my background is I've been in education for about 20 years. I started in, public education. I taught anywhere from kindergarten all the way through high school. The last about 10 years, I've written curriculum, and I moved to secondary education, and then I moved into teaching adult learners. So with John and Johnny, we had been talking about what they were doing with Synergy Solution, and I was already creating some courses for education for adult learners. So we had just recently retired here. My husband's a retired Texas teacher too. And we kind of hooked up with each other about let's try to make some courses. And we had just been talking about it, and I started researching what was out there for truck drivers. And I quickly discovered that a lot of the courses I was seeing, they had fallen into that trap that once we become an adult, that, death by PowerPoint's okay. We no longer have to be engaged, that teaching strategies are out the window. And I was lucky enough that I had spent a lot of time in this last 10 years writing curriculum and teaching really secondary. So we're talking middle school, high school, and just kids straight out of college that were new teachers. So I had a lot of those strategies in my toolbox and decided that I was just going to try my hand at it one night. I made him a video and sent him a video, and it ended up being one of our main courses. So that's kind of how I kind of jumped into this, and I've worked really hard ever since. I think for me, I felt like everything that I was looking at really, it lacked the wow factor. It was very sterile, and it was geared towards a college student, which, many of our drivers, they don't want to go to college every day and be on an online course. And, they want something they can take with them, and what is it I need to know? What's important? And what do I need to take from this? And that's really what we've tried to create.
Yeah, and when I was first introduced to this concept and idea from John, it was, as you said, the wow factor came with the delivery when he had sent it over to me. It definitely spoke to me, and I'm like, this is perfect. It aligns with the mission that we've had to change the trucking industry, to progress it, to get drivers thinking safety first, which then in turn creates an opportunity for company owners to run profitably, less downtime, higher driver retention. It creates a better culture overall, because a lot of these folks lack the tools and resources and really just the manpower to train drivers adequately. So when we combine technology and the way you guys deliver this to the drivers, it blew my mind. I was excited. There's nothing against the old 80s OSHA videos. Those are hilarious, but like just so graphic and antiquated and outdated. But this is different. So
Well, and I really wanted to.
Yeah, the 1970s.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Well, I really wanted to make sure when we first started this, we're teachers. My husband's a driver's ed instructor too, but I'm a teacher. So we jumped on the camera management program so we could learn what it is we were teaching to. What were the big things that were going to be the big takeaways? And then John was great. He gave me all of the training companies, and I went in and spent a fabulous week taking everybody else's courses. And it was really quick what the problem was. And I realized, and I'm a pretty smart person. I'd take the class, and at the end of the course, I'd be like, so what was the big thing I was supposed to take from this? And I wasn't getting the learning from it that they were trying to get across. It was either too much gamification, which I saw a lot of that. The focus was on the games. I had a great time playing the games and running into people on the games, but I never took away what was the main point. Or it was very sterile, or it was way complicated, and I knew that the person that made it was really smart, but not what I was supposed to take from it. And I think that the why factor was missing, and I think that that's what we've got in our courses, the why, and then coming back to, what is the big takeaway? What do I want them to leave with? There's a lot of stuff in these courses, but what's the big one when they're on the road that they're saying in their head?
Yeah, that's the huge part to what we do. And when we combine what we've built at Synergy Solutions, it's focusing on the humanization of your safety program. And you can't have a humanized safety program if your training is so robotic, right? If you're not humanizing your training and driving the factor of we care about you as human beings, if that's not lining up with your safety culture, then it's the wrong training program for you. And I think that's what we've developed here with Driver Education Network is how do we teach you like human beings and not like a bunch of robots? And we're not dealing with guys on the road that have got doctorates degrees, but yet we want to talk about the science of distracted driving. How about we talk about what's really causing distracted driving and fix it? Let's leave the science to the scientists. We're not dealing with scientists, right?
Yeah, and a couple of the factors that I love that you guys bring to it is it's short, digestible clips that are interactive, they're updated, so they're current. They address things that are real time, like you're talking about distracted driving, which is a huge epidemic right now. Basically what's happened is when COVID hit, the roads cleared out, the speeds of the truck and average speeds of the truck increased. Well, the average speed of trucks have not decreased to pre-COVID times yet, but now the traffic's actually up from pre-COVID. So there's a lot more opportunities for crashing, a lot more opportunities to be distracted, whereas the roads were empty. Not that it's okay, but drivers were a little bit more distracted, I feel like, because there was nothing in front of them. So they kind of got conditioned to this. The other thing I thought was cool is it's a push notification, or one of the options is to your cell phone. So how awesome is that for a driver? You get your downtime or, whatever, you got to take a break, and it's a quick 4 or 5 minute video, and you just kind of work through the course. And then upon completion, you get recognized with the certificate. So all these things spoke to me, and I was like, we've got a partner, which is what we did. So Valley Trucking Insurance, we have been in the works. We built out a interactive platform with that's branded to us. So our clients are actually going to get the opportunity to opt in for this at no cost. We're actually going to cover the cost with them. And that's how powerful I think this is. And that's how much I believe in this and really want to bring value to our clients, which in turn will, like I said, drive, profits up for these companies, reduce downtime, reduce crashes, which ultimately cost a lot of money to the company with repairs and truck off the road and headache of dealing with insurance, loss ratios of insurance that end up going up. So, I'm excited. You can tell we're all passionate about this thing. And Ryan, you probably had a bunch of clients that this is a huge void in their management or their arsenal, right? They don't have the manpower or the resources or the technology to train drivers. They think they're trained. They come in, do a drive test, off on the road they go, but that's it, right?
Well, yeah. And I mean, you guys hit a bunch of different points on the head, obviously, but I would say I have some clients in mind who are the mechanics of their company, and they're the trainer of their company, and they're trying to do bookwork, and they're trying to do insurance, and doing pre-trip and post-trip inspections when the trucks leave or when they come back, just to make sure they're done correctly. And it's like, somebody wearing that many hats is never going to be efficient, and they're going to skip steps. And also, who has the time? I'm sure that there's times when some of these things just don't happen. So taking this one major thing off of their plate is going to be huge, and not to mention making it digestible. I remember when I went to college, I had a professor, awesome guy, and it was like, I think it was my sophomore year, and he was just basically like, he's like, the problem with people with PhDs? He's like, they talk to people like they all have PhDs. He's like, so if you're not talking to somebody and communicating with them in a way that they're going to understand. I mean, this guy cussed, and he was a fun teacher, but if you're not talking to people in a digestible manner, they're not going to receive the information. So, I mean, I think it's fantastic what we're doing, and I definitely have some clients in mind that will be using this, and I will be offering to the second it launches.
Cindy, what are some highlight points for you? Because this is your baby. Like, I know you're very passionate about doing this. If you went and took all the other training courses, I know that you garnered ideas from there that are good, and then you brought your own unique twist to it, plus your teaching style. What's exciting about this for you?
I think for me, a few things, but I think that at the beginning, when I was first making the courses, someone came back and said, well, we want to make sure it has this wow factor. And I just really felt like it lacked, and I think John spoke a little bit to this, the human factor of why. Why is this important? We can say, you can, if you're texting and driving, you could, your company can be fined or all of these things, but why is it important? And I think for me, what was really exciting is bringing in those pieces of teaching high school and middle school. I mean, you got to wow them. It's and creating videos that pulled in the human factor and really drove home why we need to do this. And it's not only based on, this is what the Department of Transportation says you have to do. This is the factor, the human factor of what's going to happen. And our tagline is get home safe. And I live out here in Texas. I'm from, we're West Texas oil fields. So if you've ever been out in West Texas, when the oil field's up, it's pretty dangerous. It's all my children, all my son-in-laws and son, they're all in the oil field. And, I taught all these students going into the oil field, and I just felt very passionate about the fact that I want them to get home safe. So I felt like I was excited about these courses. I didn't realize that it was so hard to get training to truck drivers, that they were using these really complicated learning management systems. So once we got training that I felt was engaging, interactive, and gave them a reason why, and short clips that were precise to say, just put this in your head. And then when we figured out a way to, that's the world we live in. It comes straight to their cell phone. Their safety manager doesn't have to sit down and try to push through these complicated learning management systems and assign and who did what. It goes straight to their cell phone. It comes right back when they take it and they get credit. If they don't take it, it goes out again in 2 weeks and says, here's the course you need to take. So I think those things kind of are what was important to me. And the other piece is I think that it has that human factor. The voice on all the courses is actually my husband. He's a West Texas coach and coached football forever, and he's a driver's ed instructor, and he grew up out here in the oil field where it's just truck after truck. And I think that he brings that, we say he has a voice like butter, but he brings that human factor to it that we want them to get home safe. And we're in an area where it's all the kids we've taught and it's all the people we know that they're out on these roads and in the oil fields. And so I think that's what's most exciting to me is when we send it out to them and they're like, this is really good. I keep hearing it in my head when I'm on the road, and I'm like, well, good. They're like, yeah, Miss Simpson, I knew it was you. So I think that's what's really exciting for me.
I know I need to have your husband do the intro and the outro for me, because you're right. It's smooth. It comes in. It's like, man, this is amazing. So that's what John did. He's like, hey, we're going to wow Cam, and brought to you by Valley Trucking Insurance. I was like, this is amazing. The other thing too is, so you talk about the human factor. You play on emotions because, you watch one of the first videos, at least the videos that John and I kind of went through, and it's like, well, I'm not crying, you're crying, because it really hits home. It really shares true impact and like what ramifications can be if something happens. We all know what it is, but until you start to like go through the training and understand and help kind of address and feel the emotion and then correct the behaviors that are going to keep you safe and preventable, it really, I was kind of moved by that. So,
what's incredible is we've taken some of these modules and turned them into PowerPoint presentations for Synergy Solutions customers, and we've done in-person safety meetings with some of these. And you're right. Like, if you've never seen a group of drivers tear up, just show them the module together. And they're bawling like babies when they're watching it by themselves, but when they're in a group, you see that emotion. They start looking at each other, and you start seeing them connect with one another. Like, man, this is powerful. And then when you followed up with the question of how does that make you feel, and think about the driver who killed that man, or think about the driver who killed that woman, and now you're starting to draw out some of those emotions from them. That's real. And that's what we don't have enough of in the industry. And I think that's what sets us apart, Driver Education Network, from everybody else out there, is we're going to touch your life, not just as a truck driver, but as a human being, as a father, as a son, as a brother, as a sister, as a mother. You have a greater impact than just being somebody who moves a vehicle down the road. And there's so many more people counting on you. And that's what our training draws out. It draws out that you're bigger. You're bigger than just being a driver. You're so much more important than just being a driver. And that's something we've forgotten. We've treated these drivers as transactions and not as human beings. And Driver Education Network's doing webinars every month now, on the last Tuesday of every month, and that's some of the training that we're offering to anybody. Anybody can show up for that. It is exclusive and free by invite, but we want to teach how to use the Driver Education Network platform to drive your your brothers and your sisters that are moving your vehicles in a safe manner to make sure they go home to their families every night. I mean, it's so much deeper than just training. It's really it's bringing back some compassion and some empathy and some love for mankind that's been missing for years. And I think that's really what we're focused on.
Yeah, it aligns directly with my mission, and I feel the obligation to give back and bring any value I can to the industry that's really makes America move, but that's given so much to me and my family and provided, livelihood for relatives that are truck drivers or in the transportation industry. I saw a stat a few weeks back when I attended the Great West Leadership Symposium that trucking impacts and holds jobs for like 7.6 million people in the United States. And that's not just truck drivers. That's folks like you and I, shipping, the ports, DOT, compliance, all these different facets that trucking touches. And really the goal of everybody is deliver the goods from point A to point B for the transportation companies, but do it in a safe and effective manner that gets everyone home at night. And there's no truck driver in the world that wants to cause injury or harm or impact lives in a negative way on these things that you actually see on the news and stuff like that. Nobody wants that, right? But what they do want is to be heard. They do want coaching. They do want guidance. They do want lanes to drive in, so to speak. One of those things that these company owners can do is provide something like you guys and the resource where, hey, these are quick, easy to their phone. You can see who's completed it. You can see who hasn't. You get recognized for the completion, which I love that component and aspect. And who knows, down the road, I know John had mentioned kind of some stuff of like, man, wouldn't it be cool if you got a score back or something that happened and like the course was smart enough to know, hey, let's deliver these type of videos to this driver. And I get asked all the time from clients of mine is, hey, I had this incident with this driver. What are some resources? What are things I can do to help educate this person and help get them to prevent this action in the future? Well, this was like, John talked to me. It was like an aha moment. It's like shining light beacon. I'm like, this is it. That's why I'm going to do it. So, man, I'm so thankful. I'm so happy for this partnership opportunity. I'm very excited to roll this out to our clients and future prospects and stuff. I mean, this is very exciting to me. So.
Yeah, we're excited too. This partnership is invaluable to us. I mean, we've got to do a better job at reaching everybody in the industry, and you can't do that unless you're not willing, or unless you're willing to team up with people like you. So, I think that's the incredible part about this partnership is we're aligned, and I'm appreciative of that alignment. Not very many people have the same views that you and I have in this industry. And it's a tremendous example to us. It's a tremendous motivator for us to continue to dig in and make this thing bigger and better. And, we're going to add courses. We're going to add, various things to Driver Education Network. This is going to be an evolving program and platform. It has to evolve with the industry. So what we have now will not be what we have 2 years from now. It's going to be so much bigger. We're constantly, Cindy's just working her tail off, adding in new modules and building new modules based off the trends that we're seeing in the cameras that we manage for our customers. We're seeing firsthand these trends, and we're making training that mitigates the trends that we're seeing in the industry, and not just throwing out, this looks like a good idea. If it's not really something happening, we're not going to create training for it.
Cindy, what's something that you're working on that you're excited? Like, let's lay out a little bit of a roadmap for things to expect down the road.
So right now, I'm working on we have 5 onboarding courses, or our first, we call them the big 5. Those courses we are making Spanish. So I'm really excited about working on that. We come from a family of teachers, and one of my son-in-laws happens to teach Spanish at the high school. So he's been, and it's nice because they're young and they're, it's been really cool partnership with us to go through and really work those courses, those 5 onboardings, so that we can get Spanish speaking truck drivers. That's a big part of the population of truck driving, and we can meet them in their language so that, they can learn what they need to learn, and that barrier is not going to be there. So I'm excited about that. Another piece we're working on is taking and making shorts, just little shorts. You spoke to, when someone has maybe some kind of an incident, sending them, we don't want to send them the same thing. We don't want them to, go, well, I already saw that, and that, I think that's the beauty of being a teacher. I know they'll go, well, I've already done that. So we're working on some really powerful shorts now that can just be sent straight to the phone, not just for when they have an incident, but just as reminders that, here's just a little short that are impactful, precise, to the point, and let's move on, and they're exciting. So I think creating these, the big 5, making them in Spanish for our Spanish speaking truck drivers is probably the most exciting thing right now.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. We have a ton of clients that, even up here in Washington State, where there's a lot of Spanish-speaking influence, but then we also work across the United States, and I know down through Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, that region, it's a huge void. And so we've had to kind of overcome some challenges trying to translate insurance terminology to Spanish-speaking. And so that's been something that we've worked on. So I'm super excited for that rollout. That's very cool. So it gets better and better. I am very excited for the launch of this. I am behind you guys. I am champion, like, hey, let's go, and rooting you guys on. So awesome. I appreciate the opportunity for this. Cindy, thank you so much for coming on and being the brains of this. And if you taught John and Johnny, you could teach anybody. So I know that this will land home.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
We'll get there.
Thank you.
She is teaching us every day, man. Like I've learned something new. Like it's good. It's been great.
Yeah. Oh, I'm pumped. Hey, real quick, John or Cindy, either one of you. So where can folks, besides being a client of ours and coming over to us to be a client of ours, get access to this? Where can folks learn more? Where can folks get the invite for the Tuesday webinars every month, and follow you guys?
Yeah. So we have a website. It's drivereducationnetwork.com. They can go there. They can submit a form for more information on that website. That's a great place. If they submit a form, they're going to automatically be on our list for webinar invites. So, and then we can push out information to them from that form they submit. So, perfect. Get on there, submit it. We're open to doing a 30-day free trial for anybody who wants to jump on as well. So, and test that out. So
there's nothing to lose.
Nope.
I think that's a no-brainer. So we'll put it in the notes where to follow you guys. So thank you again, folks. In the notes, you'll find the link to that website. You can also we'll put some info in the Facebook group. So get a load of this trucking on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I know John's on LinkedIn. In fact, that's how we connected anyway. So John, Cindy, Ryan, thank you so